Okay, hi everyone. Today we're going to work on solving again a system of equations. We've been working on this for the last couple weeks actually. We first worked on graphing them and seeing where they meet. And then a second one we used a substitution where we substituted one for the other variable. So we took two equations with two variables and we crushed them together to end up with one longer equation but with only one variable, which became a lot easier to solve. And then now today we're going to do with a process called elimination. So again, let's write this. This is called elimination, solving a system of equations by elimination. Or in some books they'll call it linear combination. But in the end result, we're doing exactly the same thing. Now, here is a quick example to show you why this is one of the easiest methods you can use for solving a system of equations. So here's an easy one. 6x plus 7y equals to negative 2. And negative 6x minus 3y equals to 18. All right. Now, I want you guys to look at these two equations, and you would probably say, what the hell? What's going on? That looks kind of crazy, right? These aren't nice numbers. Couldn't we start with something easy? And the reason why I started with something a little bit like these numbers aren't just simple numbers. They're like not like 1 and 2. Is because something obvious is going to happen. You guys will see it. Okay. So here's the method of elimination. Look at the x's and look at the y's. Okay. Do any of these guys look like they'll cancel out? What do I mean by cancel out? Look at them vertically. If I could smash the problem downward, does anything cancel out? Let's check it out. If I look at here, what is 6x minus 6x? 6x minus 6x, do they cancel out? Yeah, they're like terms. And here's what elimination allows us to do. They say, you know what? Instead of rewriting this, and instead of substituting it, just take it as it is first. That's our level 1 problem. And look at it and say, hey, you know what? If I could just combine them, 6x and negative 6x would cancel out. 6x minus 6x is 0. Let's do the same thing with the y's. 7y minus 3y is 4y. So I wrote a 0 there, but we really don't need it, right? And then we're going to be equal to 18 minus 2 is 16. So just like what we did for substitution, we took two equations, we mixed them together. In this case, we made hamburger, and we end up with one equation with one variable. Oh my gosh, one equation, one variable. Last step is let's solve for y. The way we solve for y is we're going to get rid of the 4. Opposite of multiply by 4 is divide by 4. Let's divide by 4 to both sides. Y is equal to 16 divided by 4 is 4. And here's the thing, I can guarantee you that that y value is going to be 4. Now, once we solve for one variable, we're going to go ahead and plug it back in. And let's go ahead and plug it back in. We're going to plug in, and we're going to solve for x. Why we say x? Because we already solved for y. Once we have y, we need to find the other variable, x. Now, where we're going to solve for x from, you get to pick either of these equations up here. You pick which one you think is easier. I'm going to do them both to prove to you that it doesn't matter which one we use. So let's go ahead and write 6x, x plus 7y is equal to negative 2. Please take a look here. I put a blank for y because do we know what y is? Yes, we do. We know y is going to be 4. Remember how we solved y is 4 here? So let's go ahead and just plug it back in so we're not overwriting anything. And now we have one equation with only one variable. Let's go ahead and solve this out. 6x, 7 times 4 is 28, equals to negative 2. And then back to day 1 algebra, let's go and solve for x. We're going to minus the 28 to both sides. We have 6x is equal to negative 30. Okay, how do I get rid of the 6 by the x? Multiplying. Opposite multiply is divide. X is equal to negative 5. Now we have just solved for both the x's and y's. What if I chose the other equation? You know what, again, it's up to you, whichever one you think it's easier. I chose the top one because it's on top, sure, but also because it was a positive, so I didn't have to deal with a negative sign here. But let's go ahead and deal with it. Here's our next, let's go ahead and look at our side example here. What if I did the negative 6x minus 3y? What did we say y was? Y was 4, right? Y was 4 equals to 18. And let's see how this turns out. We have negative 6. This is a positive negative 12. I should write this nicer, I'm sorry. Negative 6x minus 12 is equal to 18. Plus 12 to both sides, plus 12 to both sides. We're left with negative 6x equals to 30. And we're going to divide, how do we get rid of this negative 6 times x? We divide both sides by negative 6 by negative 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5. And a positive divided by negative is a negative 5. So both answers would be exactly the same. It just depends on which one you would rather do. And if you're not sure, just do the top one. It's fine. Now, is this true? Is this a solution for both these equations? Let's go ahead and double check. 6x, we said was negative 5, plus 7y. What did we say y was? Did we solve for y? Yes, we did. We said y was going to be 4. That is negative 30 plus 28. Does that equal to 2? Negative 2? There are more negatives by 2. Yes, that is a true answer. Let's check the other one. Negative 6 times negative 5 minus, sorry, that's a minus sign, minus 3y, which is 4. Does this equal to 18? I don't know. This is negative is a positive 30 minus 12. And yes, positive 30 minus 12 is 18. So we found the x and y that would be true for both these equations. Now, if you wanted to graph this, we could. So I'm going to show you guys on Desmos right now. Let's go ahead and look on Desmos, how this would look like if I graphed it. Now again, with Desmos, it doesn't show you any of the work. So if I ask you to do elimination and you try graphing it, it's going to be wrong because I need to see work. No work, no credit. It's an international rule. No work, no credit. Okay, that's my first line. My second line is negative 6x minus 3y equals to 18. So if you take a look here, if I had to graph this by hand, it would take me a lot of work. But you can see, everyone can see here that they do meet. See, this is the only point where they share in common, right? This is the only point where they share in common. And that point is when x is negative 5 and y is 4. And this is exactly what we got. We got negative 5 and y is 4. Now, how do they want you to write this answer in the end? The answer is written as a point. Point is negative 5, 4, because that's an x first, then y value. So it goes x, y. We always go x, y. Okay, hopefully you guys found that was not extremely hard. We did have to explain it a little bit, and hopefully that was helpful. Let's go and look at another example here. So this is going to be another easy version, right? Super easy. And again, the reason why it's going to be super easy because it's going to be obvious that they're going to cancel out. Okay, here is our next problem. The problem is going to be x plus 7y equals to 17, and 2x minus 7y is equal to negative 8. All right, so we could change it for substitution. We can move this around, but we're going to take it as it is because elimination allows us to match x's and match y's. So take a look at x's and y's. If I'm going to use elimination, remember elimination is just combine them, crush them down, right? Crush them down. Do you see any variables that would cancel out? That would pretty much eliminate each other, right? That's why we call this elimination, because they would eliminate. Hopefully you notice that, well, does a 1x plus 2x, what does that become? 1x plus 2x is actually 3x, so they don't cancel out. Thank you. But 7y minus 7y, hey, these guys are like with Lex Luthor and Superman, essentially, right? Well, Lex Luthor needs a suit to fight Superman, a suit covered in kryptonite, but yeah, okay. So we could combine these guys and these guys would eliminate. 7 minus 7, right? And that's the cool thing. 7 minus 7 gets rid of these y variables. So we're left with 3x is equal to 17 minus 8 is going to be 9 for us. And take a look. We went from this crazy mess up here, to just a nice, easy equation. And these are pretty much level 1 problems, right? It's obvious that these are going to cancel out, and we can simplify these. Let's go ahead and do the rest. Divide 3 to both sides because I'm solving for x. Opposite of multiply 3 is divide by 3. X is equal to 3. Okay, now that we solve for x, now we have to solve for y. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have 2 choices here. I don't know which one to choose. Then just use the top one. If you have one that you want to use that's easier, I might want to choose the top one because it's positive. I don't want to divide by a negative. I mean, it's not a big deal, but. So here we go. I'm going to say x plus 7y is equal to 17. Why did I leave it blank? Because we know what x is. We know that x is going to be 3. So we just have 3 plus 7y equals to 17. Now this is back to level 1, right? Back to our first couple weeks of algebra. We're going to solve for y. So let's get rid of the 3 first. 7y is equal to, okay, 17 minus 3 is 14. And then opposite of multiply by 7 is divide both sides by 7. Y is equal to 2. Okay, y is equal to 2. Now, this is our x and y. I want to double check here. If I want to write the answer is written as a point, x and y. So it's going to be 3 comma 2. Now, is this really going to be true? Now, here is the way I would check it. If I use the first equation to solve it, I'm going to plug it into the second equation so that everyone gets a party. And just to make sure this works for both of them, 2 times 3 minus 7 times 2 is equal to negative 8. So take a look here. I plugged in my x and my y value into my second equation. That's 6 minus 14 is equal to negative 8. Is that true? Is 6 minus 14 equal to negative 8? Yes, it is. So we found a solution that works for both equations. Now, again, we could now, if I want to, we could graph it just to prove a point here. But really, we don't have to. Graphing is actually just an extra step now, just to validate what we came up with, our solution here. Equals 17. And then the second equation would be 2x minus 7y equals to negative 8. And let's find out where these guys meet. Actually, no. Did I write it right? I think I messed up here. X plus 17. Oh, that was a negative. Whoops. Okay. So if we can find out where they meet, take a look here. If you guys are true believers, our point is at 3 for x and 2 for y. Winning. Now again, you can use a graph to just double check, and it only took me a couple of seconds to type that out if you want on iExcel when you're double checking. Or just do what I did here. Plug it in, just verify that was a right answer, x and y, for the second equation. Now, it can't be always this easy, right, Mr. Ko? Look, Mr. Ko, it's obvious that those cancel out. It can't always be this easy. Well, you're right. It can't always be this easy. But the part of elimination is that if they don't look alike, you can, or if they don't match, you can make them match, right? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's look at another problem where they don't match, but they're pretty darn close. Negative 7x minus y is equal to 12, and negative 7x plus 3y is equal to negative 8. Okay, take a look here. They almost match, meaning they almost cancel out, but they don't. They almost cancel out. They almost eliminate. Now, if I just say go ahead and add downward here, does negative 7 and negative 7 cancel out? Negative 7 and negative 7 become negative 14. Ah, darn it. But it was so close. It was so darn close. So it's so darn close. So what we're going to do here is we are going to change one of these equations. We're going to change one. And we're going to simply change it by, let me ask you, what do you wish one of these guys signs were? If one is negative, the other one has to be positive, right? If one is negative, the other one has to be positive because we want them to eliminate. We want them to knock each other out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply a negative by a negative to make it a positive. Let me show you this again. If I say we have a 3 times a negative, that gives us negative 3, right? A positive times a negative. What if we have a negative times a negative? That becomes a positive 3. So if I could just multiply it by a negative, we could make it positive. And that's actually the trick here. The trick is to multiply it by a negative. So you're going to pick the top and the bottom. I'm going to specifically choose the top just because I can. It doesn't really matter. You could pick the bottom. So let's choose the top. And I'm going to multiply this by negative. So I'm just going to write parentheses in front. Take a look. I'm going to write parentheses. I'm going to stick a negative in the front of those. Take a look here. I put a negative in both these. Okay. So let's go ahead and distribute it. Now, please take a look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to rewrite this over here. So this becomes a positive 7. I don't even write a positive sign, right? This is going to be 7x. A negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times a negative is a positive y. And negative times a negative times a positive is a negative 12. Now, here's where I want you guys to look now. Right here are my new equations. Okay, I rewrote it. I rewrote this here. I rewrote it to make my life a little bit easier. And now we can do these. You could write both equations over here separately. Again, you could. But I want to save you guys a little bit of time. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to save you guys a little bit of time. Here we go. That's combine it. Now we're looking at my old equation and my new upgraded version. And do these cancel out now? Does negative 7 plus 7 cancel out? I hope they do. So those are gone. No more negative 7, positive 7. How about the 3y plus y? 3y plus y is 3 plus 1 is 4y. And negative 8 minus 20 is, sorry, minus 12 is negative 20. So here is the point. If they don't match, right? If they don't cancel out, change one of them so that they do cancel out. The terrible joke is, let's say you're dating someone that's prettier than you or more handsome than you, right? And you want to still date them. I'm not saying that this is it's all about looks, but let's say you're dating above your class. Well, that means maybe you have to change a little bit. Maybe you have to buy some new clothes, get a better job, get a better education. But if you want to punch above your weight, you got to change. So in order for us to do this, we got to change. Now we're almost done. We divide 4 from both sides. Y is equal to 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. We have solved for y, and many of you guys already did this probably. Now, once we solve for y, we're still missing. We're still missing the x. So I have a y, but I don't know what x is. So let's go back and pick an equation. You can choose your original or you can choose your new one. It doesn't matter, but we just have to choose one. I'm going to go ahead and pick my original, negative 7x minus y equals 12. You could have chose our new version, negative 7x, positive 7, positive 7x plus negative 5 equals to negative 12. So I'm going to show you guys, whichever version you choose, it's okay. They're both going to give us the same exact answer at the end. So this negative 7x, negative is a positive 5 equals to 12, minus 5 to both sides. Negative 7x is equal to 7 divided by negative 7 to both sides. X is equal to negative 1, right? Because 7 divided by negative 7 is negative 1. Let's see if we end up with the same answer if I use my new version. This is 7x minus 5 is equal to negative 12. We're going to add 5 to both sides. 7x is equal to negative 7. Divide both sides by 7 to get rid of that 7. X is equal to negative 1. Oh my gosh, it's the same answer, right? So it doesn't matter which version you choose. And that's a key point. Don't get stuck on saying, hey, which one do I plug in? Whichever one you think is going to be easiest for you. If you want the negatives, use the first one. If you don't want the negatives, use a new equation. Now, I want to double check to make this right, because you know what? I'm always afraid of IXL marking me wrong when I was so close to a 90. 7x plus 3y equals to negative 8. I'm going to plug in our x and our y. So negative 7 times negative 1 plus 3 times negative 5 equals to negative 8. Let's see what happens. This is 8 minus 15 equals to negative 8. And, whoops, sorry, that's a 7. I don't know why I wrote 8. This is 7. And 7 minus 15 is negative 8. And we are good to go. This is a true statement. We got it. All right. So, what if now none of them look alike? Okay, so the trick here is, no, let's do one more just so you guys get an idea. What if it looked like, just to say, we're not going to solve it, we're just going to set it up. What if I wrote 2x plus 4y equals to 6 and 8x plus 4y equals negative 12? So take a look at this set of problems, right? I see that the 4y and the 4y, they match, but do they cancel? No, and the whole thing about elimination is that when I add downward, they're going to automatically cancel out. So let me save you some time. Okay, we know we just have to make one of them negative. So you can choose. You can make the top one or bottom one negative. It's up to you. But let me go ahead and show you the fast way of doing this. If it's just a negative sign, take your pencil and just put a negative on top, and on top. If I multiply one side by negative, I multiply them all by negative. Right? So if you guys can see, I wrote that in red so that you can see that these guys automatically cancel out. What is negative 2 plus 8? That becomes a positive 6x. What is negative 6 minus 12? Negative 6 minus 12 is negative 18. Don't forget the equal sign. And then we're on our way to solve it in even less steps. Okay. What if you wanted to make the bottom negative? Let's see what happens if I wanted to make the bottom negative. Would that make a difference? 8x plus 4y equals negative 12. Okay, so I need to make one of these sides negative. So take a look here. I'm just going to put a negative sign, negative, negative. That what happens to this negative 12 here becomes a positive. Everyone see the sign change? I wrote right on top. So instead of rewriting the whole problem, you could write negative 8x minus 4y plus 12. You could have done that, okay? But my point is that, don't you want to save a little bit of time? So I'm going to just change the sign, if it's just a simple sign change. Let's see if it comes out the same thing. 2 minus 8 is a negative 6x. 4 minus 4 cancels out. And 6 plus 8, so 6 plus 12 is 18. We end up with the same exact situation over here, almost exact, except the sign. X is equal to negative 3. All right, so that's my hint for you. If it's just a negative sign that keeps them from being together, being eliminated, well, just put a negative sign on top. But make sure if you change one, you change them all. Okay, you got to flip all the signs. Positives become negatives, and negatives become positives. Now, here is our last version of this. And this can be a wide array of styles. Actually, we might have two more. But here's my next example. Negative 10x minus 2y equals to negative 2. And negative x plus 4y equals to negative 17. Again, not pulling any punches, but we have x's and y's that don't match up. Okay, x's and y's that don't match up. But if you notice in our last version, we were able to change one of them. And my joke again, if you're dating above your I guess your weight, or dating above your class, dating above your level, you might have to change, right, to be successful here. So I'm going to change one of these. Now you have a choice. Do you want to make x look like 10, or do you want to make the y, the 2, look like 4? It's 100% up to you. Both ways will work. The idea is spend a little time and think about which would be easier for you. Is it easier for me to multiply everyone by a negative 10 to make this a positive? Or is it easier for me to multiply everyone by just a 2 to make that one into a 4? So see, the thing is, it's really up to you because they're both okay. So let me show you both these versions. So that's change, okay, let's change the y's. So here, y's will cancel. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it one more time. Negative 10x minus 2y equals negative 2, and negative x plus 4y equals to negative 17. Okay, and then over here on my right here, I'm going to say x will cancel. Okay, so we're going to do both of them. Negative 10x minus 2y equals to negative 2, and negative x plus 4y equals negative 17. All right, we're going to do both of them. So let's do the y's will cancel first. So if the y's cancel, take a look here. If I want the y's to cancel, can I make 2 look like 4? I can if I multiply it by 2. Now here is the trick, and make sure you are paying attention to this. If I multiply the 2 by 2, I need to actually multiply everybody by 2. And that means I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. See, I multiplied both sides by 2. So my new equation is going to be negative 20x minus 4y equals to negative 4. Again, take a look at how I did that. I multiplied both sides by 2. I doubled up on both sides. And it's okay because as an equal sign, if I change something to one side and I change something to the other, that is fair because I changed it to both sides because they're still equal. So this became a 20 and 4, and this became a 4. So take a look at that. And the cool thing is now, these guys here cancel out. Right? This is our goal. We want to eliminate our y's. All right, here we go. Negative x minus 20 is negative 21x. The 4 and 4 cancel out. See you later. And the 17 and 4 become negative 21. We're almost there. Divide both sides by negative 21. Divide both sides by negative 21. X is equal to positive 1. And now that we solve for one variable, we can always plug it back in to solve it for the next variable. Solve for x, we can now solve for y, just like what we did in our last 4 problems. What if I decide to change the x's? Well, make a decision. What could I multiply this guy here to make it look like a positive 10? Remember, they have to cancel, so they can't be the same, but they have to cancel. So I would multiply the second equation by, hopefully you guys are thinking this out, a negative 10. Why negative? Because we need it to make a positive, right? So here we go. We're going to multiply both sides by negative 10. That becomes negative is a positive x, 10x. Negative and a positive is a negative 40y. And a negative is a positive 170. Now, this is the part where you have to be careful. Because which equations are we going to combine? I'm going to combine my first one and my new one. Take a look here. I'm going to combine my first one and my new one. My first equation and my new one, right? Because this guy here is just a rewrite. So let's go ahead and do this. You could rewrite it. If you want to spend time, you can rewrite it here. But you know what? I want to save you guys time. As long as you can notice that I'm combining the first and the third equation. Okay, so what is negative 10 plus 10? Negative 10 plus 10 cancel out. How about negative 2 minus 40? That's a negative 42. That's a huge number, Mr. Co. It's okay. And negative 2 plus 170, that is 168. We're going to divide both sides by a negative 42. Negative 42. Y is equal to a negative 4. How did I know that? Because I knew 40 times 4 is 160. So I thought, hey, 4 times 2 is 8. That was going to work. Okay. Now, in both these different situations, we solve for different variables. I solve for x over here, which then I could plug in to solve for y. I solve for y here, then I can go back and plug in to solve for x. Again, both these methods are great. And just to prove to you that these are the right answers, 1 and negative 4, we could plug it in. Negative 10 x minus 2y, which is negative 4. Would this give me negative 2? This is going to be negative 10 plus 8. And negative 10 plus 8 is negative 2. So what's the takeaway from this last equation is that if the equations don't match to cancel, you can change either x or y so that they will cancel out, they will eliminate. And that's really up to you. You have to make that decision, whichever one you think is easier. Take a look here. Did you think the y's was easier or the x's was easier? Both ways are 100% correct. Okay. Now, the last part is that, what if none of them match? So we're going to do one more last problem here. One more last problem. And it's going to be 5x plus 2y, and 2y is equal to negative 15. And 3x minus 4y is equal to 18. Oh, sorry, equal to 19. I'm sorry. Make sure you do copy these correctly. If not, if you copy wrong, of course, it's going to be wrong. This is a plus. I miscopied it also. 3x plus 4y equals to 19. Now you get a choice. Do you guys want to make the x's match up or the y's match up? I'm hearing a lot of you guys probably saying the y's, right? Can't you make 2 become 4 by multiplying by 2? 100% yes. That is 100% great job. Multiply by negative 2 so they would cancel. But I'm going to make the x's match up. And the way we do that is we make a decision. What number can I make 3 and 5 look like? Sometimes it's just multiplying them together. But what number can I make 3 and 5 look like? They can both look like, thank you, they can both look like 15. So here is this new version. I'm going to multiply the top by 3. I'm going to multiply the bottom by 5. The top by 3 and the bottom by 5. Top by 3 and bottom by 5. Now, if I do this, it's still going to be wrong. Careful, because does 15 cancel out with a positive 15? Does 15 and 15 both cancel out? One of them has to be negative. So you make a sacrifice. You pick. I'm going to pick the top to make the top negative because I want to get rid of that negative 15. Make my life a little easier. Okay, here we go. We're going to go ahead and multiply these out. You can write it down here, or you can write it over here to the right. I'll write it down here. 3 times 5. No, I'll write it to the right. 3 times 5 is negative 15x minus negative 3 times 2 is negative 6y equals to negative 3 times the negative 15. Negative is a positive 45. Let me pause it to make sure you guys are all cool with this. I multiply negative 3, and then negative 3. Negative 3, and then negative 3. All right, let's do the same thing to the next line. 5, 5, and then 5, okay? So 5 times 3 is 15. Perfect, because we wanted them to cancel. 5 times 4 is 20. So positive 20y. And then 5 times 19. 5 times 20 is 200. And then I'm going to remove 5 from that. So that's going to be 195. The numbers are big, but take a look here. These are going to cancel out now. And hopefully, as you guys are working through these problems, they'll become easier. It's the same method. So 15 minus 15, those cancel out. We have 20 minus 6 is 14y. And over here, it's going to be some crazy number. 240. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and divide 14 from both sides. And we have y is equal to, okay, so I don't know what 240 divided by 14 is. I'm going to do long division here. 14 goes into 240 once. Remember 14. And that becomes a 100. Does that work out? Whoops, I messed up the math right here. It wasn't 195. It was actually just 95. My goodness, that was just 95. Okay, so so negative 6 plus 20 is 14y. And 45 plus 95 is 140. We divide 14 to both sides. Y is equal to 10. Okay. Now that we solve for y, we can go ahead and plug back in, and you can pick which equation. No, I'm just going to pick the top one. Why not? Just because it's here. So 15x plus 2y, which is 10, is equal to negative 15. 5x plus 20 is equal to negative 15, minus 20 to both sides. 5x is equal to negative 35. We can divide 5 to both sides. X is equal to negative 7. So our answer in the end, x is going to be negative 7 and our y is going to be 10. Sorry about that mistake. Okay, that's it. These are all the types of problems that you will have for elimination. Very basic ones where it's obvious what's going to cancel out. Ones where you have to change just the sign to a positive or negative so that they would cancel out. One where you have to change only one equation so that they would cancel out. And then the last final one is where you have to change them both so that they would cancel out. So these are the only styles that you guys have. Now, you guys will be practicing this on IXL, and you guys will have to get up to 90 for the XL, okay? Thank you very much.